Leaving the shores of Caithness behind, I made my way overnight to Edinburgh. Arriving on the outskirts of the city late at night, I slept in the car and tried my best to sleep as late as possible before fueling up and starting my next drive straight to London. A pretty grueling drive, considering it rained almost the entire time at least a drizzle and at worst a downpour. I arrived at the Europe car rental station just after 9:30 to return the Vauxhall. I've always found it strange in my life how I get attached to mechanical things, like a car. This car has taken me clear across the UK. This car made a sturdy but uncomfortable shelter through many storms and gave me a place to stay when there was nowhere else to go. It never let me down mechanically and has been very efficient on fuel. Leaving it behind feels like leaving behind a trusty steed, and it makes me sad to see it go. Cleaning the car out was very easy. Everything I brought with me and picked up along the way fits in these two small bags. The person who inspected the car for damage, after finding it in perfect condition, was very impressed when they seen the mileage on the car from before and after. I drove a whopping 2,508 miles across the UK. Feeling pretty satisfied with my accomplishment, I sit and I wait for an Uber driver to come and get me to my next destination, the Club Quarters Hotel in central London, right next to St. Paul's Cathedral. It was only about 10:30 once I got settled into the room, and I decided to use that time, even though I was exhausted, to go out and experience some of the local London nightlife. And it was here at the Sherlock Holmes where I met some very interesting people from all around the world, had a few drinks and a bite to eat before finally going back to the room to retire. I wanted to get up early the next day and have a good solid day to explore London as much as I could. Right outside the Club Quarters Hotel was St. Paul's Cathedral. So it was a great way to start the day, and a wonderful way to greet such perfect weather for the things I wanted to do. Ask yourself this question: if you had one day, and only one full day to travel in London, what would you choose to see? How would you choose to see it? What would you do with the long lines and the busy sidewalks? The amount of things to see and do in London is overwhelming. I arrived somewhat late last night, and my flight leaves for New York tomorrow afternoon. So that predicament is precisely what I am facing today. I get my first taste of the London lines at the Tower of London. The wait to get in would have been at least 3 hours. I want to see as many things as I can, at a pace I can enjoy. And although I am certain that the things I would see inside the Tower of London would be absolutely incredible, I'm not willing to spend that much of my only day waiting in a line. And right around the corner, a solution that I long thought about was right in front of me.
That's what I want to do right here.
The first thing I'll say about the bus tour is the amazing skill of these bus drivers. As somebody who drives truck for a living back home in the States, I was really able to appreciate just how good these guys were. Off the top of one of these buses is a really great way to see things. I especially enjoyed the drive around Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens. And it does feel very good to be a passenger for a change. There are many times in this trip that I wish I was a passenger of my own. Having to concentrate on the road so much and driving a lot did make it much more challenging to take in the sights along the way. So this whole experience feels like a great break for me. On a beautiful, sunny, warm October day, is there a better way to see the sights than this? Now the great thing about being on this bus tour, besides the fact that I'm on the top, is that you can get off and explore whenever you want when the bus stops and get back on again later. And it also comes with a free boat pass to take a ride down the Thames. So I got off near Westminster. There's a great many things to see in this area. I was excited to see that there wasn't much of a line, but come to find out as I got closer, Westminster Abbey was closed today for religious services. What can I do? Anyway, a walk around the area was just as gratifying. Also in line with the luck I am having, Big Ben is under repairs and isn't looking its best. I don't have much interest in the London Eye, so I just enjoy a nice walk through the area. This is maybe the most iconic part of London, with so many things to see, and were always the first images that come to my head when I thought of London. And it also turns out, this is where I get on for my boat ride on the Thames. It's a beautiful, mild, sunny day on the murky water of the Thames, and this boat ride was jam-packed. The boat ride took me east on the River Thames, back to Whitechapel where the Tower of London sits. Here you can see a seaworthy replica of the Golden Hind, an English galleon captained by Sir Francis Drake. There is also the HMS Belfast, a retired British imperial ship from World War II, now a museum open to the public. And just like that, Tower Bridge comes into sight and I am back in Whitechapel. I get off again at the Tower of London and hop back on the original tour bus. The cloud cover is beginning to come in over the city, and I can feel the temperature dropping a little bit. This time I decide to stay on the bus much longer and make a complete lap of its tour. I'm very grateful to be able to kick back and enjoy seeing Trafalgar Square, especially without having to fight my way through these crowds. It's getting into the mid-afternoon and the streets are really starting to get crowded. I cannot believe the congestion at Piccadilly on the sidewalk, and I'm starting to notice the ever-present eye in the sky watching us all, especially here in London. Back in Westminster, the difference in the crowds on the sidewalks from when I left to when I came back is very, very noticeable. I originally planned to get off here, but instead I stayed on a little bit longer and got off near to Chinatown as I possibly could. I'm craving Chinese food, and it's the Chinese Moon Festival, so it seemed like a very good time for me to compare the differences between English Chinese food and American. I can tell you this, Chinatown in London is much cooler than Chinatown in New York. And with the Moon Festival going on, it is extremely busy. I ate here at the Wan Chai Corner and found the food quite good, and really not much different from the restaurants in New York City. I walked from Chinatown back towards Buckingham Palace, crossing through many of the places I have already seen from the top of the bus. The sight of all the air traffic overhead is a visual reminder that this is my last day, and where I will soon be heading. The area in front of Buckingham Palace, including the fence and front gate, is maybe the most intricate and ornately decorated building I have ever seen. And I got lucky as it was nowhere near as crowded as I expected. Sitting here hoping the Queen might come out herself and give me a send-off, it quickly hit me that this may be the last sight I see here in the UK. And even though the Queen never came out, It certainly felt like a fitting farewell to watch this beautiful sunset behind Buckingham Palace. I keep thinking of the many beautiful things I have seen along the way. With any luck, the sights, smells, and sounds will be burned into my memory for as long as I am alive. I take a slow, reflective walk back to my room at the Club Quarters Hotel, where I just go to bed relatively early and sleep my last night in the UK. Packed up and checked out, I'm feeling very excited to see the people I miss back home. I take my last meal in the UK at the Shepherd's Inn with some gira and grilled ceppeline. After leaving the Shepherd's Bush, I got a car to Heathrow for my flight that left at 3 p.m.
Okay, airplane mode going on. That's everybody when I get back.
The flight back home felt very long. I simply couldn't wait to see everybody, and I also couldn't sleep. Finally, when I landed back in JFK, it felt very good to be home. I was picked up at the airport pretty late and immediately drove back to Pennsylvania. It felt very good to be back in my own bed. It feels great to be back home in Nicholson and to see all the people I have missed.
Hi.
Hi!
I am sure most of them missed me as well. It's the perfect time when I arrive home. It's time to get back to work, driving truck, and on my woodpile. It's also the harvest season, and mushrooms are plentiful this year. If you have watched my whole trip and the whole playlist, I sincerely thank you. As always, thanks for watching.